Shalom, I'm Eddie Chumney of Hebraic Heritage Ministries, and we welcome you to this week's Focus Israel Report. In this week's report, we're going to be sharing with you regarding the current status of the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, as well as the current situation with Syria and Iran. First, the peace process. In order to agree to restart direct peace talks with Israel, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has given the following demands. Number one, Israel must present the Palestinians with a map for a Palestinian state based upon 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. Number two, Israel must stop building Jewish homes in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Number three, Israel must transfer parts of Area C in the West Bank, which is under full Israeli control, to the Palestinians. Number four, Israel must agree to refrain from withholding in the future any monthly Palestinian tax revenues collected by Israel. Number five, Israel must immediately release Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. However, Israel has refused to meet these preconditions, saying that doing so would weaken its negotiating position. In any agreement with the Palestinians, Israel insists that it must include the following. Number one, a demilitarized Palestinian state. Number two, that the Palestinians waive the right of return. Number three, that the Palestinians recognize Israel as a Jewish state. And number four, that Israel's security needs are met by having military control over the Jordan Valley. In an effort to improve Palestinian economic conditions in the West Bank, to create an environment in which Israel and the Palestinians would agree to renew direct peace talks, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has gotten approval in principle from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Mahmoud Abbas for a multi-billion-dollar economic plan that would bring international businesses and major infrastructure projects to the West Bank, including investments in high-tech, transportation, tourism, telecommunication, and major infrastructure projects in areas controlled by the Palestinian Authority. However, Netanyahu is reportedly against aspects of the plan that would require Israel to release Area C land, and that is that area in the West Bank that is still under full Israeli control. And ideas which have been proposed include a tourist center in the Dead Sea, as well as developing natural gas fields for the Palestinians off the coast of the Gaza Strip, and an opening of an international airport controlled by the Palestinians. Kerry has tried to assure the Palestinians that these proposed economic projects would not come at the expense of work to establish and to create a Palestinian state based upon 67 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. Furthermore, unidentified sources in the United States said that the Obama administration is planning a Middle East peace summit to be held in the United States in June to push the Israeli-Palestinian peace process forward. U.S. President Barack Obama will preside over the meeting, in which Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, and Jordan's King Abdullah would participate. This information was communicated to the Israeli newspaper Haaretz through these unidentified sources within the United States. And this possible proposed summit could possibly include Egyptian and Turkish leaders as well. However, this proposed summit has not been confirmed by the Obama administration, neither has it been confirmed by Israel or the Palestinians. Finally, according to a recent poll taken in Israel, 80% of Israelis support the idea of Israeli sovereignty over all or parts of the West Bank. 33% of Israelis support full Israel sovereignty over the entire West Bank. In order for these poll results to become a reality, Israel would have to annex all or part of the West Bank. This is something that Israel has been hesitant to do without first it being done in the context of a full peace agreement with the Palestinians. Next, we're going to share with you the current situation with Syria, and it is as follows. Israel's top military intelligence official, Brigadier General Ittai Brun, said that Syrian President Bashar Assad's government has used chemical weapons multiple times against the Syrian rebels. In response to this claim, White House spokesman Jay Carney said the Obama administration has not come to that conclusion that the Syrian government has used chemical weapons. Carney said that the claim needs to be investigated and verified. He reiterated Obama's stance that use of or transfer of chemical weapons remains unacceptable to the United States. Carney added, "If the claims are verified, I cannot say what action the United States will take because that would be speculating and I won't do that." Syria has rejected a request by UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to allow inspectors into the country to investigate the claims that Syria is using chemical weapons. Last month, while in Israel, U.S. President Barack Obama said that Syrian use of chemical weapons would be a game changer. U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel said that chemical weapons use by Syria would cross a red line and that the U.S. had contingency plans to deal with it. Hagel admitted that Syria has likely used chemical weapons on a small scale against the opposition. The U.S. believes that Syria has used the chemical agent sarin, and Hagel added that the use of chemical weapons by Syria violates every convention of modern warfare. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said that NATO must consider its role in the Syrian conflict, including how it would respond to any potential use of chemical weapons. Meanwhile, British and French diplomats told the United Nations that there is evidence based upon soil samples and eyewitness accounts that Syria's government forces have used chemical weapons in areas around several Syrian cities, including Homs, Aleppo, and even the capital of Damascus. Israel Deputy Foreign Minister Zev Elkin said that the way the United States responds to Syrian President Bashar Assad's use of chemical weapons will send a signal to Iran regarding its nuclear program. Elkin added that if the United States does not act to destroy Syria's chemical weapons, it would signal a reluctance by the United States to take military action against Iran's nuclear program as well. Elkin said that if the United States doesn't act on something that they themselves defined as a red line, then the Iranians will learn that these red lines set by the United States are very flexible and will continue with their nuclear program. However, if the United States and the international community are able to take action and to take control of the chemical weapon reserves in Syria, the concerns over its use will not be relevant. It could be that as soon as the international community understands that red lines have indeed been crossed by Syria, it will realize that there is no choice but to take action against the Syrian government. Next, I'd like to share with you the current situation with Iran, and it is as follows. The United States and Israel have agreed to a $10 billion weapons deal, U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel said, stating that the United States is selling Israel a set of advanced new military capabilities, including anti-radiation missiles and advanced radars for fighter jets, KC-135 refueling aircraft, and most significantly, the V-22 Osprey. However, the U.S. did not sell Israel any bunker buster bombs that Israel would need if it attacked Iran's deepest and best protected nuclear sites without the support of the United States. What Israel wants most from the United States is a giant bunker busting bomb designed to penetrate earth and reinforced concrete to destroy deeply buried Iranian nuclear sites. According to both American and Israeli analysts, it is the only weapon that could be used against Iran that would have a chance to destroy the Iranian nuclear fuel enrichment center at Fordo, which is buried more than 200 feet under a mountain outside the holy city of Qum. The weapon, called a massive ordnance penetrator, weighs about 30,000 pounds. So much weight that Israel does not have any aircraft capable of carrying it. To do so, Israel would need a B-2 bomber, the stealth aircraft that the United States flew non-stop recently from the state of Missouri to the Korean Peninsula to underscore to North Korea that it could reach its nuclear sites. The Obama administration has been reluctant to even discuss selling such capability to the Israelis. In public, the United States is saying that Israel has a right to decide by itself if it needs to attack Iran to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear bomb. However, a close advisor to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the fundamental fundamental difference of views on how much risk can be taken with Iran is re-emerging between the United States and Israel. The difference on the amount of time that it would be until Iran obtained a nuclear weapon and at what point action should be taken against it has been a long-standing issue that was much debated during 2012. Former Israeli military intelligence chief Major General Amos Yadlin said Iran has crossed the nuclear red line set by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a speech that he gave to the United Nations last fall. Yadlin said if Iran continues to enrich uranium at its current rate, toward the end of 2013 it will cross the red line. Netanyahu has defined Israel's red line regarding Iran having in its possession 250 kilograms of uranium enriched to the 20% level known as medium enriched uranium. By this summer, Iran will be a month or two away from making a decision about whether they're going to go forward and build a nuclear bomb, Yadlin said, adding that the decision whether to advance beyond that will be made after the Iranian presidential elections in June. Once Iran produces sufficient enriched uranium, it will be very hard for them to stop from going forward in the process. Yadlin went on to say that if the United States and Israel stands behind their commitment to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, then we are at the crossroads and on a collision course with military action that would need to take place by the end of 2013. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said that more patience is needed before tougher sanctions are imposed over Iran's nuclear program, saying that there is uncertainty in Iran regarding making any decision to suspend its nuclear program from any pressure that's being placed upon Iran to do so through the P5+1 talks that the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council and Germany are having with Iran, and that no decisions are likely to be made regarding the issue by Iran prior to its June 14th elections. Kerry said, I do think that the timing of a military attack against Iran and the choice of how we will respond is a critical issue, and we need to cooperate with Israel on that matter, saying that the Obama administration is monitoring the Iranian situation closely and is working with U.S. allies in the region, including Israel, to do all that it can to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear bomb. U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel said that economic sanctions and diplomacy with Iran must be completely exhausted before the United States and Israel contemplate any military action to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Finally, Ron Dermer, a senior Netanyahu advisor and Israel's next ambassador to the United States, told a group of American Jewish leaders that the time for action against Iran's capacity to build a bomb, which he said was an existential threat to Israel, must now be counted in months and not years. Well, this is going to conclude this week's report, where we shared with you the current situation with the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, the position of Israel and the Palestinians regarding the renewing of any direct talks, and the efforts being made by the United States to begin economic projects in the West Bank to help the Palestinians, while there being rumors of the possibility of a 4-way Mideast summit taking place in the United States in June between Israel, the Palestinians, Jordan, and the United States. However, this possible summit has not been confirmed by any of the parties themselves. Regarding Syria, there is report that the Syrian government has used chemical weapons, which the United States said would be a red line and that they would have to act upon. But the reports that Syria has used chemical weapons, the United States has taken a cautious approach, saying that the matter will be further investigated, that the response of NATO needs to be considered, and that so far Syria has only used chemical weapons on a small scale. Regarding Iran, all reports indicate that it's continuing to move forward with its nuclear program, that it would have the capability to produce a bomb sometime this year. The United States is still reluctant to take immediate action against Iran's nuclear program, wanting to still give sanctions and diplomacy more time to work, stating that Iran will not make any decisions regarding suspending its nuclear program prior to their June 14th elections. Until we do it again, Shalom in Yeshua the Messiah. Amen.